Hey everybody, this is Eric Gales and you're listening to the Ocean Way Nashville. It's going to be a great podcast.
Storms in Nashville today, high of 60.
Today on the Ocean Way Nashville, it's going to be a great podcast. I could not be more humbled to have a living guitar legend, Mr. Eric Gales, on this episode. He is regarded by his peers and music fans alike as one of the best guitarists in the world. We caught up with Eric before a show in Nashville and discussed the making of his latest release, Crown, which was produced by Joe Bonamassa and Josh Smith.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Yeah.
So, Eric, how are you?
I'm great, man. Life is good. Life is good.
Are you glad to be back on the road touring?
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. We had no idea, over 16 months ago if this was going to even be, we had no end in sight. And hopefully it's not going back to that. But yeah, to be out swapping energy, positive energy with people that come to the shows is something that is not to be taken for granted ever, because it was stripped away from us as a whole, and it left a void that streaming and playing to a computer screen is not the same. It's not the same, man. It's nothing like being in a room where the energies are able to have a conversation with each other, where your mouth don't even have to speak.
Right.
That's powerful, man.
So now that you're back on the road, are you seeing more and more events getting ready to happen? Are you going to have a busy schedule, or what's the next year look like?
Man, I can tell you for right now to the end of this year, God willing, that, we don't continue to walk backwards trying to go forward. My schedule is pretty hectic. It's getting pretty intense, especially ramping up with this new record, and we got the video and the first single, and there's a lot of buzz around what's about to happen, and I'm enjoying seeing the process. And I waited, and it was my call to wait this long because the record's been finished for a year almost. It was my call to wait because I didn't want this record to come out and be halted or held up by anything COVID related. I want to be able to go out and push and promote, because this record deserves that and way more. And, I think it's time to go ahead and let it ring. It's going to be what it's going to be, and got to roll the dice and bet on myself,
Absolutely. So this is the It's Gonna Be Great podcast, which is owned by Ocean Way Nashville Recording Studio. So you recorded part of your record at Ocean Way with Joe Bonamassa and Josh Smith co-producing. How did that whole process come about?
Dude, it was insane. So, this epic battle, if you will, that is up to maybe 3.5, 4 million views on YouTube that happened with me and Joe organically on his cruise. It went viral, man, and but what people that don't know the history of me and Joe is me and Joe have known each other for 28 years, almost 30 years. We go back and we played. He opened for me when he was with Bloodline at a place in Huntsville, Alabama, and I'll never forget it. So I was like, man, of course, throughout my career, went a different path than what Joe's did since the 28 years ago. Joe took the bull by the horns, and he's manning this thing. And he is an inspiration for how he's taken a strong stranglehold on this business and call it his own. And that's such a beautiful thing, and I admire that. So that alone gave me the gonads to say, you know what, let me align with this. It could work in my favor, because here's what's in my favor. Okay, that YouTube video with 3 million plus people seeing that helps. 2, people have kind of followed along since the beginning of me and Joe's coming out career the two of us. So there's never been nothing collaborative done by me and this guy that, the world knows about, and maybe the world might have heard about me, you know what I mean, in this facet. So I was like, yo, okay, so I saw that, Joe's first run at the bat was producing Joe Anaconda's record. And I said to myself, man, you know what? On the boat, before we got off, I told my wife, I said, I'm going to ask Joe to do something. I didn't even tell her about it until I asked, and she was there. And I said, man, I asked him on his podcast on the boat. I said, man, I'm going to put you on the spot. Will you produce my next record? And he said, man, I want to let you know that I'm not cheap. And I said, I'll make it work. He said, all I require is 2 Diet Cokes. And I said, sold. I went up to his suite and I brought 2 Diet Cokes and we shook hands, and that was the deal. And man, it just opened up this whole box of just, wow, man, and this all of this wouldn't have happened if my life hadn't changed for the better a little over 5 years ago. It was already in the making before then, but I just decided to, do something different on July 15th.
Tell us about that.
2016. And, I just celebrated not too long ago 5 years being sober, man. And all of this and everything that's coming about is a direct derivative of gaining my life. These are the things that I wasn't aspiring for that's happening to me. I was aspiring to be just normal, to just wake up healthy, to, not wake up and be regretting what I did the night before. Those are the things that I focused on first and foremost, because if I had not done that, then nothing else matters. Nothing else would be even relevant. So the things that have come behind me saying, okay, let me try something different. If I don't like it, misery will gladly refund me my money. And hey, I haven't had to get a refund yet. And I'm loving seeing the process, man. I really am. And Josh is a friend of mine. We go way back, and I have admired and respect him. And, I told Josh and Joe that they need to form a production company because they're doing it. They've done it 5 or 6 times already. Right. And it's a good team. And, we start getting together, man. And, all I can say is wow at the finished product.
So I've heard Joe say, being at the studio, my goal for this record was to get Eric out of the van and into a bus. He also said, everybody knows Eric can play guitar. I want them to know Eric as an artist and a singer.
Yes, sir.
Did you and Joe discuss your goals for the release, or what was the process going into the record, and what was your vision that you wanted to achieve coming out of it?
We did discuss that. We had a conversation and we laughed about it. I said, Joe, I think the world know by 18 albums that I maybe can play just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Just a little.
And I said, it's not all about, it's about the melodies, it's about the songs, it's about the lyric content and everything. And he said, dude, that's exactly where my head is. And that's what we shot for. And the content and the songs are so pungent. They're gonna leave a hell of a stain in the drawers of the walls of the music industry. I guarantee you.
Can we put you on that?
It's going to leave a shit stain in the drawers of the walls of the music industry that Tide can't get out. So that's the best way that I can put that one. And I'm so ecstatic. The topics and the stuff and pre-production began. What happened the day that me and my wife flew to LA to start writing for this record, the day before was when what happened to George Floyd happened.
Right.
So that in itself just sparked rage, fury, anger. And I went into the writing session at Josh's house and I just began airing out frustration. while I was doing that, Joe was just jotting down and writing and recording stuff that I was saying. And all of that turned into material that this record wind up being about. And, you know, there wasn't a day that recording happened, you know, that we all grown men in there, man. You got Reese Winers, Michael Rhodes, you got Greg, everybody, man. We in there crying our eyes out, man. And it was cause the stuff was so powerful. I had to take at least about an hour break between vocal takes because everything that I was singing about specifically applied to right now situations that I said, man, you know, if I'm not prepared to wear this suit of armor for the things that I'm going to be talking about, then I need to stop this record. And I said, you know what, I'm ready. And, you know, what I couldn't get out of my mind is what made me any different from George Floyd. That could have been me. It still can. And that is the problem. So if my platform is a way that I can bring awareness to someone that had no clue or thought different coming into my show, and something I said or something that I played was enough to alter their mind thought, then that is the proper way to use my platform.
That is actually a great segue into my next question. I have heard bits and pieces of the record, and there's one song in particular that I remember, and I believe the title is called The Storm. There's a lyric in that video, or excuse me, there's a lyric in that song. How can you love what I do, but hate who I am? And later on it says, how can you like what I play, but not like me? And just to what you just said, I think a lot of your fans have never thought about things like that from that perspective or your perspective.
Right.
I think, and I saw this with various artists on social media, a lot of fans just see you as an artist,
right,
paid to perform,
right,
with no opinion, no voice.
Right. And that's not it.
But obviously you're a human first, not just an artist. How difficult has it been to navigate through that process over the last year where all of this stuff has kind of come to a head? Obviously that's what the song is about, but you're living out your life through that song.
It's not been very difficult at all, man. You know, just not caring if somebody don't like it. The one that I may lose, there's 10 more that I'll gain. So it has to be done. There is and has to be, and I commit to this, there has to be someone that keeps a reminder of the people that was before me that went through hellacious circumstances just to be able to do what they love to do. They were treated in ways that animals aren't treated. But as long as they're on the stage, they get a pass. I'm working on the pass that I can get when I don't have a guitar in my hand.
Right.
That's the bigger picture. Now, if my guitar is what gets you in the door, then I got you. I got you. Now I can tell you some things because you came for what I do, not for who I am. And it should be the other way.
Right.
And I just said this last night in front of like 4,000 or 5,000 people and they went crazy. I said, I'm gonna say this one time. As a black man, I can't say as a white man because as a white man, they're not having those problems. these type of problems. As a black man approaching somebody of a different race, particularly Caucasian, give me an opportunity to make you not like me before you automatically don't like me. I can't get it any plainer than that.
Right.
Give me an opportunity to make you hate me. Let me do something that make you hate me before you even give me a chance. And that's the premise of what
Not just because.
Not just because.
Right.
And if I can turn that pendulum clock around, then it's a step toward the right way. Because so far, it's been the opposite way. You don't know me, and you got a problem. Would you answer me if I asked you what time it was? Looking like I do? Don't get me wrong. I'm not dumb to the fact that, yeah, I look like I'm a rapper. I look like I possibly sell dope. But no, don't judge a book by just looking at the table of contents. It ain't enough. You'd be shocked and amazed at what this appearance has behind it. Allow that opportunity of the impression from the person to be the judgment on whether you don't like them or not. And I can't make it any more powerful than that. And that's the basic premise of the entire record. If you just really want to get down to, every topic ain't about that, but, and I think we accomplished it in a way that I'm not preaching to people. I'm having a conversation with them.
Right.
I'm having a conversation with them. And to be honest with you, some people, I would say 85 to 90% of people that feel that their mindset, which is warped, is right, is because it's not their fault because they were raised that way. And how I mean raised that way, educationally, it is made to make black people seem less than. There's stuff that happened in history that I don't recall being taught when I had social studies in American history.
Right.
And a lot of it that's taught is wrong. And we roll with it. How is it possible that a dude that's supposed to discovered America discovered somewhere that people already were? So I'm black and Cherokee Indian. I know that the blacks had it hard, but pound for pound, I think the Native Americans had it even worse. So it's a double whammy for me. And the only way is it's so bad that some people will stand on Plymouth Rock with the warped thinking of that they're right. And it's how schooling and everything have shown them or taught them. There's nothing in American history or social studies or whatever that gives any credit to stuff that contributed from black people, that inventions, cures, all kinds of stuff. I don't recall. All you hear about is Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman. There's way more black people that contributed to this world than that. And until that information is put in the forefront, you're gonna always think that white people are superior because it's made to look that way. You're taught that such and such Newton and Darwin and says, man, come on, man, it's more than that. So how can a white person not come in this world being taught that and think that they're better than everybody else? Look at my history. My people have done all of this because you ain't been taught the rest. How is it possible that I didn't know about Black Wall Street in Tulsa? How was it possible that I did not find out about that until I got 45 years old?
Right.
So it's all kind of contributory to making one feel that they're superior.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think the one key thing you said is that people need to sit down and have a conversation.
That's exactly a conversation.
It's irrelevant if you and someone else disagree, at least have a conversation.
At least have a conversation.
And that's the problem that I see missing is people aren't willing to have the conversation.
Yeah. No, they're not. And at a point, okay, we tried having the conversation with you, but the same thing is still happening. So that's where you get the fury and the anger. And that's where that happens. We've tried to talk, but you didn't listen. We keep trying to tell you, but you keep. So, I don't necessarily agree with all the fury and anger, but I do. When you try to explain something and nobody's listening.
Right.
Imagine you keep telling your kid to stop doing something and they won't. Eventually, you're going to get mad and give them a spanking. Right or wrong.
Right.
Spanking, time out, whatever you do. It's natural. So how do you not think that the same thing ain't going to apply? When someone tells you something for 1,800 times and you ain't getting it.
Right.
So.
Well, I appreciate your
Candor.
Honesty and candor. Absolutely. I mean, it's the conversation that needs to happen.
Yeah, man. I feel like a lot of my interviews going to consist of stuff like this because it's kind of a part of what the record's about.
So over the past year, I've noticed that you and your lovely wife have both become more vocal about all of this on social media. And obviously you've had blowback or backlash from fans. Do you feel that's hurt you or helped you, or do you care? I think you've already answered a little bit of this, but do you feel that's the process that y'all have to keep going through, and regardless if your fans like it or not?
Regardless. Because if somebody don't say something, the same patterns are going to keep happening.
Right.
That's just facts. You don't correct your kids, they going to do the wrong thing all the way through life. It's the same process. So, I think those that are having a problem with, realizing that we are human beings first that so happen to play music, not the other way around. I play music and I so happen to be a human being. It don't work that way. I came in this world as a human being first. So, and some people lose sight of that. They do. And, it hadn't been a whole lot of blowback, but to those that do, hey, if you leave, there's 50 more that's waiting to take your place.
There's another song that I've heard off of the release. I believe it's called Stand Up.
Yep.
It actually reminds me more of something I would hear from Stax Records in Memphis in the 60s.
Come, Sam Cooke, all that. They're all the same thing.
It's to me, it sounds like a modern civil rights movement song. Who wrote that song and where did that come from?
Man, that song, Kevmo, he was given a template of what had been stirring about in the room of topics and, the passion that we were trying to, display through this record on a few things. And when that came down the pipe, I said, wow, man, and basically to sum it up, that is a summary of it's not me against you. It never has been. And over this past year and some change, along with the pandemic, it has been me against you. That's never been the case, or it never should have been the case. It's not me against you, it's us against racism. That is the story. And that's what Stand Up is about. Everybody fighting one common goal. That's it. It's pretty powerful stuff, man.
Very, very. If there's one song on the record that you want people to hear that encompasses who you are, what the record is, what you're trying to say, what's the song?
That's it. Man, it's a body. It's a body as a whole. The anatomy contains all parts of the body that makes it the anatomy. This record contains all parts that if it were missing, it would be detrimental.
Right.
So the record, this 13 song, 3 vignette record, 16 pieces, contains the genetic makeup of a body that is very important to its well-being. I could sit here and tell you stand up. I could tell you death of me. I could tell you let me start with this. I could tell you too close to the fire. I could tell you survivor. I could tell you all of those things, and all of those things mean exactly what the titles of them songs are. And LaDonna's feature, Take Me As I Am. I mean, all of it is the storm. Like, yo, man, it's crazy that you mentioned that, because tonight is the first time I'm going to play the storm, and I'm going to ask people not to record this. I don't know how well it's going to happen, but I'm going to play it on acoustic with just me and an acoustic guitar. So there's no missing the point. Raw and unedited version of the storm. It's crazy that you mentioned the lyrics from that, because it's exactly what I'm going to do tonight, and just let people know. I want y'all to check this out. Oh, and by the way, this is a preview off of the new record.
There's one other song that I would need to mention. It's called Crown. You had a very special guest on that song, and I believe there was a music video shot for that song. Can you tell us about that song and what it's about?
Crown is a song, man, that just got this really like James Brownish sort of funkish, but it's blues. It's still blues, but the groove is just killing. You're going to move and wiggle soon you hear it. And we start coming up with lyrics and such, man. I told him, man, I said, man, I need my crown, man, and Joe said, it's time for you to gain your crown. Prior to now and prior to me getting clean, I just had this conversation with Albert Castillo last night. I said, man, I don't think that I was deserving of the crown before now. It's because I wasn't healthy enough. I wasn't holding my head up high enough for the crown to stay on my head. So now I want my crown, because my head is sturdy enough for it to sit properly like it should. And that turned into that song, which turned into, okay, you relate a crown or a reward or a belt or whatever to somebody has been in a match of some sort. Now, you have the public that will turn it into this competition thing, but the whole end goal is it's just two best friends having a conversation. It's never about who's better or anything like that, but it was our way of keeping the fire lit of what people jumped so high on when they saw the battle, if you want to call it that we had on the boat.
Right.
And it made people go crazy. We capitalized on that and turned that into, Eric, it's time for you to get your crown. Joe said that to me personally. He said, you have no idea how long I've been waiting on you to get your act together so I can help you get your crown. And there we go. Kev Mo's cameo in the video this is all relative, man. Kev Mo did not write that song, but Kev Mo was in the video because the people don't know that Kev Mo is a significant person that's involved with a few songs on this record. So the cameo of him in the video is gonna make people go crazy, man. And yeah, me and Joe, we rented out AEW's ring. And we shot the video in that ring, and man, I'm telling you, bro, it is insane.
Can't wait to see it.
It's gonna be crazy.
Given the history of you and Joe, what did it mean to you personally just to have him involved in this project and to walk through this journey with you?
I think this is one of the biggest moves that I could ever made for me. People now see that, Eric is serious about his life, first and foremost. The rest wouldn't matter. Eric is serious about his career. And he's poised up and up for bat to knock it out the park by way of strong training, if you will, by one of my best friends. And it's a beautiful process to see. I love the process. I've been saying that more and more over the past couple of months. I'm really enjoying seeing the process unfold. And yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
Well, from the little bit I've heard of the record, I can honestly say this. I think it's the most depth and maturity that any of your projects have had.
Thank you, man.
And I will also say this. I've been following your career since your very first project, so I'm well versed in your history.
I like it.
But it has a depth, maturity, and sophistication that has been lacking in your previous projects. And I do think it's a project that is poised to help take you to the next level and you give you the platform
Yes, sir.
that you're looking for to accomplish the goals you have.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I feel the same. I feel the same way.
What advice have you been given that has stuck with you the most?
Surround yourself with a good support. Because with a good support, nothing is out of bounds. Nothing is off limits. If you can vision it, you got a support team can help you make it happen.
It's good advice.
Yeah.
And is there any advice you have for up and coming artists or guitar players
The exact same thing.
Exact same thing.
With that, you'll be all right. Watch out, because unfortunately, but fortunately, I am well versed in the whole street game and dope game and prison and all of that. But I will tell you, the music business is far more treacherous
Than all of that.
So keep your eyes peeled open. Stay alert. Please. They'll get you quicker than the dope man will. But anyway, I digress from that.
What do you consider your big break? And have you even had it yet?
I've had a few of them. To, within some point in time, made it seem irrelevant. Not too far after, by other things that I have done that diminished it. But now, the big break was, I think, especially going forward with the rest of my life, the big break was guest appearing with Joe on that boat. Because it opened a whole room of whole next level stuff. That happening brought a new dimension. And, I know that I'm ready for whatever. Bring it on.
Hey, everybody.
Are you looking for some cool studio swag?
Why, yes, I am.
Well, if you are, then we got you covered. You can get your own Ocean Way Nashville studio merchandise at our web store, www.oceanwaynashville.com/store. Once again, that's www.oceanwaynashville.com/store.
Great. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Yeah.
It's time for the It's Gonna Be Great part of the Ocean Way podcast. We have 4 questions that we're going to ask Eric and just see what he comes back with. Eric, question number 1. What is the greatest concert you've ever been to and why?
Dude. First of all, thank you for having me be a part of such a podcast that is a representation of a studio that has catered to and entertained the likes of many that are friends of mine, and also, many that I'm inspired by, and even myself. But that's a very, very almost unanswerable question, because I don't have us. It's 4 people in here, and there aren't enough fingers and toes amongst us all to give representation. But one that comes to mind, just to be really clear about it, is my brother Eugene, my oldest brother, took me to, I don't even know if I was old enough to get in, but I got in, Eric Johnson came to town and played at this club, man, and I left there and my life was changed. It was forever changed. It just blew my mind.
When was that, like Avia Musicom or?
It was a little I want to say it was in the 90s, bro.
Yeah.
When this happened, and my mind was forever blown. That's just what comes to mind right now. But there's so many King's X concerts, or all other kind of stuff. All different styles. Gospel, blues, rock, funk, jazz, classical, all country, western, all the way across the board. But that is the one for some reason that kind of pokes out. Robin Trower. Hey, I mean, let's call it what it's a vast variety of different ones to pick from, but that's one for sure.
Nothing wrong with Eric Johnson. Mm-hmm. Once again, these are simple questions, but may not be easy answers.
I'm trying to tell you.
So what is the greatest record of all time and why?
That's a hard one, man. Dude, that's a hard one, bro. That's a hard one, man.
First thing that comes to mind.
First thing that comes to mind is, again, almost Eric Johnson. I ain't gonna lie to you, but then again, right there is Stevie Ray. I can, then again, there is Mahogany Rush Live, Frank Marino. You know what I mean? There's Robin Trower, Bridge of Sighs. I'm just, it's way too many. You got Muddy Waters, you got John Lee Hooker. It's just, that's very difficult. I'm sorry. This question ain't that simple.
I understand. Okay. And same theme, who's the greatest artist of all time and why?
Dude, I mean,
First thing comes to mind.
You said these were easy, and they are not. I feel like I'm taking the SAT test. Greatest artist of all time.
Narrow it down to your genre. Or the greatest artist that's influenced you.
Man. Wow. That's a tough one, man. They all are equal to me.
I understand.
They all are equal, man. That's really tough, man. I apologize. I can't give you one answer.
Fair enough. What advice have you been given that has stuck with you the most?
Surround yourself with a good support. Because with a good support, nothing is out of bounds. Nothing is off limits. If you can vision it, you got a support team can help you make it happen.
It's good advice.
Yeah.
And is there any advice you have for up-and-coming artists or guitar players?
The exact same thing. Exact same thing. With that, you'll be all right. Watch out, because unfortunately, but fortunately, I am well-versed in the whole street game and dope game and prison and all of that. But I will tell you, the music business is far more treacherous
than all of that.
So keep your eyes peeled open. Stay alert. Please. They'll get you quicker than the dope man will. But anyway, I digress from that.
One last question on the It's Gonna Be Great segment. Who is the greatest artist that you would like to work with and why?
John Mayer is one that, as a matter of fact, we have known each other for quite some time, and we have met and chatted and talked and everything. But John Mayer is a dude that I see a coming together some kind of way.
I could see that. That would work.
Yep.
Well, you do have, and I think a lot of people would agree, you have a God-given talent.
Thank you.
And I think it's great to see you stepping into your platform.
Thank you, man.
And hopefully being able to use your platform for good. Because I think that's why God gives us the gift.
I think so too. I really do. I agree.
And sometimes, like you've even said, sometimes it takes you a minute to get to where
sometimes
you can handle the crown.
Right. If you don't die in the process.
So, ladies and gentlemen, today's guest was Mr. Eric Gales.
Thank you. Man.
Eric, it has been an honor to have you come record at Ocean Way Studios.
My
It's
pleasure.
been an honor to have you on the podcast.
Thank you.
Glad to call you a friend.
Yes,
and if there's anything we can ever do for you, let us know.
Oh, I'll be back. I got other stuff I need to get done over there at Ocean Way, and I think I know a dude who can make it happen.
I think I might know somebody too.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Yeah. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.